Welcome back, everybody, to the VorelloVision Podcast. I'm excited to introduce today's guest, Matt, who's doing amazing work in the health and fitness industry, doing content writing and all sorts of stuff of that nature. Thanks for joining me, Matt. For those who may not know you yet, could you give us a quick background on who you are and what it is that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Matt Weik. I own Weik Fitness and Writing Rebels. So it's the fitness and supplement and nutrition side of the business is more for Weik Fitness, and then the general writing is more for Writing Rebels, where pretty much anybody can hire us to write content or copy for them, whether it's somebody like Heinz or a local restaurant who's looking for something. Anything with the written word is what we do. But
Okay.
my background, funny enough, is from the personal training, sports nutrition side of things. So I was a strength coach for a high school, and I was also a trainer at three other gyms. Transitioned from there to working with Metrex, which was at the time one of the largest supplement companies in the world. So I spent about 10 years with them, running a couple of their divisions, and then decided I always wanted to start my own business. I didn't know if I wanted to open up a gym or just do a personal training or what the case may be, but writing has always been what got me further in life, I should say. It opened up so many doors for me. What got me into Metrex was my writing on bodybuilding.com, and literally my writing has grown exponentially from one website to over 15,000 websites now, over 100 different magazines. I've been in research journals. I've been in numerous newspapers and
Right.
newsletters that are sent out.
Right.
So it's been a wild ride, and I
Yeah.
finally decided writing is where I want to continue to take things, and it just continues to grow.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Matt. That was actually what I was going to bring up is that 100 plus magazines and 15,000 over like websites and stuff. That's awesome. I also seen you have a new podcast, don't you?
I did. I actually had a few
Yeah.
different podcasts. I had the Wake Fitness podcast, which was just me, and then I had the Fit Business podcast, which I
Yep.
did with Jimmy Mentis,
Yeah.
who was an IFBB professional bodybuilder. He has several different supplement companies. He's just a fantastic guy,
Hmm.
and basically, Wake Fitness was talking about the health and fitness side of things, and then Fit Business was how can different entrepreneurs and business owners continue to grow their business, how sales professionals continue to, scale and bring in new doors and open up new clients. And so, we kind of touched on a little bit of everything.
Okay. And I did do a little bit of deep dive in some research on the website and some of your stuff on socials. And I probably spent a little too much time on there just because it was super intriguing. Seeing that there was over 20 plus years in the space and there's just so much experience that you have. Which we'll have to talk about further off of the podcast as well, which interests me a lot. So, of course, there's no path is easy, no matter if it's personal life, business life, especially writing. I have people that I know. My step cousin, she was actually getting into some writing stuff or journaling and doing some big publishing stuff. What were some of the biggest, I could say, struggles early on, and what challenges do you still face as you grow as a writer in your industry?
It's interesting. My story is probably completely different than 99.9% of the people out there. So for me, writing has always come natural. Like I was that weird kid in school who would rather do an essay than a
Right.
multiple choice test.
Yep.
Um, So for me, writing was just a way for me to share my knowledge. So I went to Penn State for kinesiology and business, and just learning what I did, I wanted to pass on that knowledge, and it started off writing for bodybuilding.com. And just getting that opportunity, I would say was probably the hardest, but it kind of fell on my lap when Ryan DeLuca first started bodybuilding.com. They had no content. It was literally just a hub for people to go on, talk on the forums, share information, and then buy supplements from their website, obviously. And then it really turned into a content hub which drove the sales from there. And so Ryan brought me on as the very first writer for bodybuilding.com. And it went from, hey, let's just try one article and see how it goes. And then it went from there to, can you do one a week, to can you do a handful a week? And so I had hundreds and hundreds of articles on bodybuilding.com. And then that really just opened up the doors for all the fitness magazines, the body magazines, the muscular developments of the world, the flex magazines, and a whole bunch of international stuff as well. Um,
Yeah.
so my story is a lot different, where I didn't have like really struggles in the beginning. It was just a matter of, I guess the only struggle was finding time to write, because even though
Right.
I was writing, I still held down, multiple jobs at that point.
Mhm.
So I guess finding the time, which usually ended up being 10 p.m. at night in a hotel somewhere because I was making sales calls with Metrex,
Yeah.
um, time was probably the biggest issue. And today it's the same thing. I mean, the hardest thing, no matter what business you're in, if you're a business owner, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. And the hardest thing is prioritizing what you can get done in those 24 hours. What are a priority? What are things that you can push off till tomorrow or next week, or maybe things that you can delegate to somebody else?
Yeah.
So
Right.
time is always like the number one factor. And I can only speak for myself, but I think it hits a lot of people where, at the end of the day, you're like, I didn't get nearly enough done. So it's
Right.
how you structure your day and how you can fit everything in.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for sharing that. And for anybody watching right now who is trying to get into being a writer or just anything in general related to that industry, what are some of the biggest tasks that you prioritize on your day-to-day life or basis?
For me, it's deadlines. I mean, I've worked with hundreds of supplement companies at this point, and um, just recently, AI has touted me as the number one supplement writer in the world, which I don't take lightly. I was blown away because one of my clients was looking stuff up, and he Googled me, and then what popped up was, a list of the top writers in the world, and they had me at number one, which I was completely humbled to find out.
Yeah,
Um, so it's, the toughest thing is trying to figure out how to manage all of the clients that I have. Weik Fitness is just me. So, I do all of the health and supplement companies, all of the content and copy for those myself, because they come to Weik Fitness for me.
right.
So it wouldn't be right of me to delegate responsibility when people are looking for my knowledge and the way that I write in the industry. And that's really what has made me grow as a business and as a company. When people can say, hey, when I read an article, I know immediately if you wrote it or not, just by the way that it's written in the tone. So I
Yeah,
guess, and I never really understood that because I only know my writing as my writing because it's how I do it. But apparently, it's different from other people, which I guess is good. But the toughest thing is trying to figure out how to get all of that in one day. So it's really making blocks in your day. So I have an hour to work on this project. I have an hour to work on this project, and then obviously you need some breaks in there as well. But it's really trying to fine tune your schedule to make sure that you can get everything done that needs to get done for that day.
yeah, absolutely. I agree with certain things. I agree with everything you said, and certain things that goes into business life in general. We all have tasks that we need to prioritize over others, and if we don't get those, top tasks done, it just everything just doesn't really flow together correctly, right? So
Yeah.
for anybody watching right now, I would say my takeaway from that is to really focus on what's most important and then get everything else done after that, rather than mixing everything all together in those 24 hours that you have. Because,
Yeah, and also blocking out distractions. I was always the type of person where I would need inbox zero at the end of the night. Like I would have to, as soon as a text would come in, I would literally grab my phone and answer it. As soon as my phone would ding, I would check the email, or my
right,
phone would ring, I would quick pick it up.
yeah,
I learned very early on that I needed to set all of my notifications to zero.
Yeah.
I don't want anything ringing, dinging, buzzing. I have a set number of clients who have access to me, obviously family.
Right.
But other than that, you have to get on my calendar to get my time. And the biggest
Yeah.
lesson I learned was if you don't respect your own time, no one else will. And when you own a business and somebody's reaching out to you, it's because they need your attention, and you need to prioritize what your focus is at that moment and not get distracted. Because anyone who's a writer in the industry or just a writer in general, if something pulls your attention away from what you're working on mid sentence, it would literally take me 15 minutes to get back in the flow of writing
Yeah.
after somebody would text me and I would grab my phone. I
Yeah.
would literally have to reread everything that I wrote just to get the train back on the tracks of where my mind was going with my thoughts and how I was mentally planning out this article or this piece of copy for somebody.
Right.
Um, so I would even encourage people who aren't writers or even business owners for that fact. If you value your time, don't allow the social media dings on your phone or the text messages from people to completely sidetrack your focus.
Yeah. I love that. And as young as I am, I'm only 20. I feel like myself, even, I'm guilty of it. A lot of my friends and whoever, the attention span of my generation is so short, especially with social media. We're able to just get on our phone and look at reels, whatever. I've gotten a lot better at it, and I feel like throughout the day, like you mentioned, only as a handful of people have access to me, and anybody else got to get on the calendar, right? It's family, and then whoever else is in my circle. But even the dings and the buzzes, it really throws off track of the flow, what I call flow state. And if you're writing something or typing something or doing anything else, like you said, you have to pretty much retrack where you were to even get back on track into that flow state, right? And I've
Yep.
experienced that many times. So yeah. I agree there. Now, I know there's a lot of noise in every industry. I'm not sure if there's too much noise in like the writing industry in terms of your health and fitness and stuff. But how do you stand out? Like what's your unique approach to everything?
So I guess my tenure in the industry is what's really helped me out. Working for Metrex for 10 years, I've built relationships, I've built networks, I've connected with a bunch of people. And the funniest thing was, even when I was working for Metrex, the supplement company, people were still hitting me up to say, "Hey, look, can you ghost write an article for me for the website?"
Wow.
And one of the toughest struggles that I had was with Metrex questioning, like, "Hey, you're working at night. Why aren't you working on our stuff at night rather than writing?" So that a lot of them thought that there was like a conflict there where my time wasn't being well used. Meanwhile, I'm having triple digit growth year over year for sales for Metrex, and I'm looking at it like, what do you possibly want me to do more of when we're scaling at the rate that we are?
Right.
Um, but I always made it a priority to help the people who gave me an opportunity to write because it's what I truly loved. Even 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight, banging out articles in a hotel room 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
I could still get a lot done. But my approach has always been value first. My writing as a writer, a lot of people don't make a lot of money. They can't make a living out of writing.
Yeah.
Especially authors, like new authors, forget about it. If you're making, a few bucks a month on a book without, having to market and spend a ton of money, consider that good. But, I've always been of the mindset that if you add value, people will eventually catch on. And
Yeah.
so, like right now, I'm almost at 30 published books that I have, and I price them incredibly reasonable because I'm not looking to get rich off of selling books. It's
Right.
just the same thing as how I started writing with bodybuilding.com. It was I wanted to share my knowledge. And if I could pass that knowledge on to somebody who's just starting out, like let's take you for example. Let's say you just started writing and you don't know where to go, but you grab one of my books on writing And, you grab those little gems that I put in there and you're like, wow, that was the best $3 I ever spent in my life because now I know how I can go make thousands of dollars based off of the framework that I found out in this book or in this article. So for me, it's always been value first,
Yeah.
and then that value builds the relationships with a lot of the clients, and then it just
Yeah.
continues to grow. And more than anything, like I look at my clients as friends.
Oh yeah.
I'll be on the phone with some of my clients just talking about nothing to do with their business or my business at 11 o'clock at night. They'll
Yeah.
send me a text, hey bro, can I run something by you? And I'm thinking it's business related. I'm like, yeah man, give me a call. So I'll pick up the phone. He's like, hey, I got this question for you. Like, I'm going through this, I'm doing this with my workouts and it's not working out. And it'll be just totally off the wall questions. But like, that's the stuff that I love. The
Yeah.
fact that you don't make it strictly business. You can have that friendship as well, which I think ties well. I mean, obviously you need to have some separation between there, but the fact that it's a value first and you build a friendship with your clients, I think that's everything versus people just thinking that it's a business relationship and you almost sound callous, like you don't care. Like when you can talk
Yeah.
about your family, hey, how are your kids? How's your wife? Hey, I know you said that your mom was sick. How's she doing? Like that stuff goes a long way.
Yeah.
So I think that's what separates me from a lot of people. It's I don't look at it just as a business. To me, it's a lot more than that.
Yeah. I respect that a lot. And like you said, there is that split between knowing like a barrier between like a friendship and client and business. But at the end of the day, we're all human still, and I think people let their business ego get in the way of them sometimes with their clients, and they think that they strictly have to talk about business and nothing else. And I disagree with that, right? If anybody watching disagrees with that statement, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. But I respect what you said a lot because whatever clients that I have or I talk to or even, friends, family, like they're all the same. We're all human. We should be able to all talk about the same thing, no matter what the case is.
And
Right?
you have common interests. Like my supplement clients, I was in the supplement industry for over 20 years now.
Yeah.
So they like talking about new ingredients. I like talking about new ingredients. So we'll just have a conversation at any point, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, just talking about it. Like, hey, what do you think about this? Did you see the research? And it's, you kind of nerd out on that type of stuff. It's kind of like, I guess if you're a basketball coach, you'd constantly want to be talking about basketball. You'd be talking about the stats and different basketball players and different drills that you're doing and different plays and whatnot. So, I think it's important that you have those relationships.
Yeah. Absolutely. I feel like it's almost like a ultimate motivator that keeps you going in business to where, like you said, if you feel calloused or other people feel that you're calloused, it's like you don't have that generosity inside of the business and in your human body. Like we're all just vessels, humans at the end of the day. If we can't communicate like a human, I don't know if we can continue talking. It's just how it is with
Absolutely.
everybody. So
And it's like your clients, if they're your friends, you want to see them win just as much as they want to see you win. So
yes,
it's, hey, how can I help you grow your business? And then they say, hey, in terms, we're going to pay you because you're helping us. So it's like a two-way street. Like
yeah,
again, it's that value that I keep going back to. You have
yeah,
to add the value in order for it to be lasting. And so if you can prove yourself and then you can be on the same level with a lot of these, uh, you know, entrepreneurs, I guess you can say, business owners, it goes a long way.
yeah, absolutely. I agree. I'd love for you to share like a story of a client, a project, where or a moment where you either saw a breakthrough in your journey or their journey in terms of how, you helped them or how they helped you, or just some type of big result.
So here's the probably the funniest business story that I have. In the middle of COVID, when everything was locked down, people couldn't go to work. Um, Not only the supplement industry, but pretty much every industry had to lay people off.
Right.
And, unfortunately, for a lot of the companies that I ended up working with, they had to lay off their marketing department. They
Yeah.
kept their sales because they still had to have the phones ringing and get orders for stuff,
Yeah.
but they had to let go of their marketing departments. So a lot of them would come to me and say, "Hey, Matt, I heard from a friend that you're a writer. Obviously, you're known in the supplement and the fitness space. We're not in that space, but can you help us?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." But then I would end up either on a Zoom call or in a boardroom talking to executives and CEOs, trying to convince them why me as Wake Fitness is the number one writer for them. Because in their eyes, they're going, we have this guy who talks about protein powder and writes about it, trying to say he's going to grow our enter whatever business into it.
Right.
Uh, so I started talking with Jimmy Mentis, who I spoke earlier, how, we had the Fit Business
Yeah.
podcast. And I said, man, I got to create another business, but I can't think of a name to make it. What do you think? He's like, dude, you're like out there. Like you need to think of something crazy. And I'm like, man, I don't know. What about like writing rebels? And he was like, that's it. You have to trademark that immediately. So I did. So in the middle of COVID, I started Writing Rebels, which was another writing based writing services business. And it was just kind of that leap of faith where I'm getting outside of my norm. Like health and fitness, that's my jam. That's my wheelhouse. Like
Right.
if anybody has questions about that stuff, like they come to me. Um, so being able to write about other topics, it allowed me to dive deeper into their business. Like the supplement industry, I could sleep and write copy all day long, like without even, batting an eye. But
Right.
having to dig deep into other industries that I wasn't familiar with and learning about those industries for me was kind of like a breakthrough. Like, okay, I'm a writer, but I didn't know I could expand past what I know.
Right.
Being the health, the fitness, the supplements. So being able to build Writing Rebels and in the first year exceed six figures was mind blowing to me that I was able to take a business from basically an idea where I didn't even have a name at the point to starting what seemingly is an edgy named business being Writing Rebels. I can see a lot of people getting turned off by that because they're like, oh, it seems a little harsh. Um, but I like going against the grain. It goes
Yeah.
back it goes back to like the relationship aspect of things. Um, like I'll talk to my friends the same way that I talk to the business owners.
Yep.
Like I talk the way I talk, I act the way I act.
Yep.
I'm not a stuffy, pencil pusher writer. Like I've worked with a lot of writers, and not to knock them, but it was so boring talking to some of these people. Now I'm an introvert at heart. Like
Yeah.
doing podcasts, doing interviews, like that stuff to me is like, man, I don't really know if I want to do this.
Right.
Um, but the fact that I got out of my shell, I went and pitched new companies, new brands that I wouldn't normally talk to, was really the breakthrough.
Yeah. Awesome. And you feel like it's almost like you said, your like health and fitness and supplements is your jam, but realizing like you're a writer at the end of the day, like you can pretty much do whatever. I love like sports and stuff and like fitness as well, obviously. It reminds me of a football player who doesn't know that they could actually go on the basketball court and probably dunk a basketball, right? So it's just like so many football players think, I play football, not really good at basketball. What they don't know is the same workouts in basketball and football are gonna help each other out, you know? So kind of that's what it kind of sounds like to me. But that's awesome for sure. I know I've heard a lot of not only writers but just business owners in general talk about real results or breakthroughs, whether it's a make or break during COVID or after, right? It's like it's I don't know what it is about like the COVID. It was either a spark or a down spark, right? It was either the light that went up or the light that they turned off. And I feel like for you that definitely like, took off from there. So
Yeah, I think it was, when your back is against the wall, and I'm not saying that mine was. I mean, Wake Fitness was doing great. I didn't need to start writing Rebels, but I think for a lot of people, their back was against the wall and they had to figure out how they could pivot just to
yeah,
survive.
right.
You get laid off, you're trying to find a job, and a lot of the people that I knew who were laid off started their own business because they were like, I don't ever want this to happen to me again. I don't
Yeah,
want somebody to dictate how much I make, if I'm worth anything to them. The fact that I could go into work today and get fired for no other reason than maybe the business isn't making enough money and they're just laying people off.
yep,
So, they put that accountability on themselves and said, "Hey, if I'm going to do this, it's going to be on my back."
yeah,
So, you put somebody in a corner or the back against the wall, and they're going to have to come out fighting.
yeah. You have no other option at that point, right?
Exactly.
Especially when some of those people have, wife and kids. I'm not sure if you do,
Yep.
but that's awesome. And so like you said, back against the wall, wife, kids, yourself, whatever, family, friends on the line, you got to do something, right? And whether that's starting a business or finding a new job or gig or whatever it is, you've got to make something work. And I think for everyone watching this right now, or just anybody could agree, if they're in their right mind, COVID was that make or breaking point for a lot of people. Whether it was, I know I had friends that I haven't even talked to since before COVID, and they disappeared. I feel like COVID just change people, whether it was for the good or the bad. And it's unfortunate for the ones who stayed in the same position, they were in around COVID. And I pray every day that they get out of the slump, right? But it's great to hear you seeing that, took it as an opportunity, and really skyrocketed from there. That's awesome, right? I feel like everybody should do that with something of that nature of, when COVID happened, because that could very well happen again any time, right? And like you said, any business, if they're not making enough money or they just want to randomly fire people or lay people off, they can do that. But when you have your own business, well, you work for yourself at that point, right? So
Yeah.
looking ahead, like 6 to 12 months, your journey, whether it's personal or business oriented, what's the vision? Like, where do you want to take things next?
It's literally just expanding out into new industries. I mean, obviously, I want to continue to grow Wake Fitness with the supplement side of things and bring on new supplement brands to help out.
Of course.
Um, and I mean, there's a huge shift with AI, and obviously there are a lot of companies who are leveraging AI, and I don't
Hmm.
blame them.
Right.
From the writing business perspective, it's interesting to watch because I mean, anybody who knows anything about AI scrapes what information is already out there
Yep.
and just rewrites it.
Yep.
So as a writer, it's kind of frustrating because AI is essentially trying to take your job by
Yep.
using your own information in your own content to do it.
Exactly.
Um, so the differentiation here had to be adding extra things to content and to copy that AI can't replicate. Now,
Yep.
being that I'm a certified trainer, certified strength coach, and a certified sports nutritionist, they don't have what's in my head. They don't have the experience of me working with clients. So when I'm writing content, I'm able to inject my experiences with clients into that content.
Yeah.
So, AI is not able to replicate that because they don't have, the so-called experience. They're just grabbing whatever was written in the past and it's written like a textbook.
Yep.
Additionally, it's not necessarily focused on SEO. So
Yeah.
sure, you could be putting blog posts on your website, but if Google can't crawl it and figure out what you're actually writing about because it's not optimized for SEO, it's not going to help. So, for the next few months and the previous months, prior, I've been trying to educate people more and more on, hey, look, you can go this route, and if it's a financial thing, like, cool, go with AI and then have somebody humanize it and read through it and add their own perspective to it and stuff like that. But if you want a piece that's going to rank well, like it has to be from somebody who knows what they're talking about and who can add things to the content that AI can't. And
Of
that's
course.
experience.
Yeah.
So, being able to be in an industry where people look at you as a so-called expert.
Hmm.
I hate that term because I don't think I'm an expert by any stretch of the imagination. I'm constantly learning. So if I was an expert, technically I would already know pretty much everything.
Right.
Um, so the fact that AI has transformed so much is going to be an issue moving forward. So, the next 6 months and, 6, 12, 24 months, it's going to be a battle fighting AI. And I don't know
Yeah.
where that battle is going to go. I mean, AI gets smarter by the month.
Right.
So, it's a matter of how can I continue to differentiate my services and what I do
Yep.
to make myself more marketable than somebody saying, well, I'll just pay whatever for Chat GPT and have them write an article for me.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, they're finding the data that they pull from their traffic and their clicks and all that stuff from the AI content. It's it's nowhere close to what a human writer produces.
Yeah.
So it'll never rank as well. And that's just the struggle that a lot of people are trying to find and maneuver through.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad you brought up the AI side of things and just all of that writing, the marketing. Because then on our side of the business, we specialize in actually helping people, whether it's with whatever, with AI. But I will tell you, I think I'm really against AI when it comes to doing what you do, in terms of like the writing aspect, right? If people are going to AI just to have them write something, AI doesn't have a soul, right? It doesn't have that click where it's like when I'm reading this, I can tell a human wrote it, right? Or if it's AI. Some people don't really have that discernment, or you know, I don't even know what you would call it when you're reading something. Some people just read something and they're like, "Oh, whatever, cool information, blah blah blah." But when I read something, I can look at it and be like, I can just tell it's different, right? The way there's just like the vibration through it, right? I don't want to say energy, but the new terminology would be energy. Um, I could just feel it, and people who use like writers who are new and upcoming or existing and experienced writers who are going to be using AI to actually do the writing itself, I don't think personally will go as far as somebody like yourself who is actually being generous with it and is like, hey, like AI is cool for other things, but when it actually comes to writing and putting what I know into this to help other people, it's a lot different, right? Um, and once again, if anybody watching this wants to let me know, or even Matt, know if you can tell if it's human or AI. I'd love to hear people's thoughts in the comments. That's the huge thing right now is AI stuff, but with the writing and other things, I just don't think it's useful because your personal experience, your thoughts and emotion goes into that writing, and if it's AI, I can tell straight off the bat.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've had an incredible journey so far. I mean, years and years of experience, and it's continuing to go from there, right? Hypothetically, if you had a magic wand, right, for anybody watching this right now that is, looking at your life or business or even their life and business, but if you personally had one magic wand to fix something right now inside of the business that is either holding you back or slowing you down to get there, what would that one thing be?
With Weik Fitness, it's like I mentioned, I'm a team of one, so I do everything.
Right,
Um, I like being busy,
right.
but being busy also takes you away from building the brand. So
Yeah.
if I had, and I'm just thinking out loud because it's a conversation that I've had with myself for probably the last 5 years, is bringing somebody on to do some of the admin work. So
Yeah.
doing some of the email responses, doing the outreach, doing the marketing, the social,
Yeah.
and let me just focus strictly on the writing.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I have clients who pay me thousands of dollars to write a piece of copy. Now,
Wow.
it could just be a one piece page of copy, that somebody's like, yeah, we need this, we'll pay you $5,000, and
Yeah.
but it has to be perfect. Like
Right.
I don't want to have to be thinking about updating the books, responding to emails, putting stuff on social media, like the whole like relevancy marketing of myself and my brand.
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough that I haven't had to market at all with
Right.
Weik Fitness, like nothing, not a penny. I've never paid for ads. I've never done any type of special events or anything where I had to spend to market my business. Everything has always been word of mouth, and that's just from the relationships that I've built in the network and in the industry.
Yeah.
And if somebody needs something, they're like, "Hey, you should go talk to Matt. He's the go-to guy on that." So I've
Yeah.
been very blessed that, my friends and the people that I've connected with over the years have helped me pretty much build my business word of mouth.
Yeah. That's
But
awesome.
but yeah, the biggest struggle is definitely um, doing all the back end stuff, even putting stuff up on my website and adding the images and the alt text. Like a lot of people
Yeah.
don't understand what goes into a website and putting up even a blog post.
Oh yeah.
Because it has to be optimized for SEO. You have to have alt text on everything these days in case there's a reader. Somebody's using a screen reader and they need to figure out what an image is about.
Right.
Having the right headings and the whole breakdown. It's a lot. So I
Right.
would love to just focus on writing because that's my passion and
Yeah.
allow someone else to do all of that other stuff. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm one of those control freaks who thinks that they can do everything. So I just continue to do that, and that will probably be my downfall.
Yeah.
Uh, so there's gonna have to be a point where I have to let go and allow somebody to take care of that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And for anybody else watching, if you have a downfall that you're thinking of right now as well, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what anybody else is struggling with, dealing with, whether it's personal or business. Like me and Matt talked about a little bit ago, nothing has to be strictly business, right? I love to hear personal life as well. So if anybody in the comments is dealing with something or struggling with something personal as well, go ahead and leave it in the comments. I love to reply to people on social media to help them with personal struggles, right? It just feels good, you know. Um, I don't know what your beliefs are, but I preach the gospel into everybody I talk to, and just Christ led throughout my life, and I just really bring out Bible scriptures to help people in their life, whether it's business or personal, just to help bring them up, right? Um, so yeah, so I like to do like a quick fire like round. I do this with every individual entrepreneur, business owner I meet. Three, like two or three questions. I know it's kind of a funny question since you are a writer. What is your favorite book or podcast?
My favorite podcast is Valuetainment. I've been a huge fan of Patrick Bet-David ever since, he literally just had a Patrick Bet-David YouTube channel, and that
Yeah,
was his podcast at the time. And, to be able to, speak with him on occasion, obviously his growth, it's impossible to connect with him today.
right.
Uh, but I just love everything that they do, the way that they've grown it. Uh, from a news standpoint, I just saw yesterday they surpassed CNN for viewership,
Oh my gosh.
which it was by like 76 million views or something. It wasn't a small number. So it's one of those, you start out small and you just keep chipping away at it and growing and growing and growing and growing. And, to me, it's a reminder that you never know where things are going to go, but if you stop, they'll never get there.
Yeah,
So, it's how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? So Patrick just kept chewing and he never
yeah,
stopped. So his ability to take, his personal brand to valuetainment and find the success that he has by helping other people.
yeah,
His initial videos were all just about business and entrepreneurship.
yep,
What do you do with this if you come across it? What happens if you have this mistake or this challenge or this setback, or if you make your money, how can you make more of your money in business? So, and again, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but it's the value. I love watching and engaging with things that bring value, and valuetainment, rightfully named, is by far my favorite podcast.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I love his stuff too. I've honestly, like, being realistic, probably just the past like 8 to 9 months, I've really been watching his stuff, but I've seen him like years ago, obviously. But I didn't know that statistic that you brought up, like the huge like statistic between him and CNN and his team. That's insane. That's not a small number at all. And I don't know if you see this, but I see a lot of what you said about him and his stuff, kind of like with what you're doing. Like you're kind of just, like you said, the elephant. You just kept chewing and chewing. Like you've been at this for like over 15 years, right? And it's like you wouldn't be in the position you're in now if you just didn't keep chewing and chewing, right? And it's like you putting the effort and the knowledge and the generosity that you have into your own writing compared to other people who are just using fake stuff, whether it's with AI or having somebody else write it or whatever. I feel like what separates you from the rest, right? And what puts you at, the number one writer in the health and fitness and supplement space, which I also seen that when I was digging a little deep. I brought some pieces together of your website and other stuff, and I found the same information you did or whoever you talked about. Yeah, it said you were the number one in the world. It said nationwide, but I don't know anybody else who's doing that in like any other country. But yeah, it said you were number one, like ranked. Like the separation mark was like pretty far as well. I can't even remember who the second or third one was. Yeah, you were way up there just with everything you had. And I had to check out some of your stuff. And like I said, I was reading it, sitting here reading it, and I was like, okay, this ain't AI. This is him, and I could just tell on your website itself that it was um, humanized, right? Which I respected a lot, which is another reason why I wanted to have you on here, because I respect people who are business oriented, but then also just a human and not just somebody that, oh, strictly business. If you say the wrong thing, you're out. Like, I don't know why people are like that, but
That's definitely not me. Like anybody who's close to me, they know I am not corporate America. I am not fit for corporate America. I have zero filter. Uh, I mean, obviously, there's no reason for me to get riled up on this podcast, but like if people start talking about weird topics, like yeah, it can go sideways fast, and that's part of why I have writing rebels. Like
yeah,
I will speak the truth. Like if people ask for my opinion, like be prepared for the answer because you're going to get an answer and it might
yeah,
not be what aligns with what you thought I was going to say.
I
But
love it.
yeah, I mean, you have to be real. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong is they try to put on like a facade or a fake personality where they're trying to appease everybody
Yep,
and they really appeal to nobody. So I'm
yep.
not for everyone. I'll never say I am, but for
Yeah.
those who engage with me, I think they've enjoyed the ride.
Of course. Yeah, that goes back to the value once again. It's like if the people that don't like what you're writing about or don't like your beliefs or whatever, cool, don't look at it. Like, it doesn't bother you, one, because you have your people, right? That's with everybody watching as well. I'm the same way. I'm glad you brought that up. The no filter thing, it's like not a bad thing, right? You just say the truth, right? And I'm not afraid of it. And I feel like every human who's ever walked the earth should be that way, because if you're putting on a facade or a fake personality for whoever it is, why? There's no point
Yeah.
in it at all, right? I don't care if you're my mom, dad, my best friend, my wife, my kid, business partner, client, whoever. I'm the same person 100% of the time, right? Unless we're on the basketball court, I may not talk a little bit, but if somebody gets in my head, I may say, spit out a few words on the basketball court. But no, it's all jokes. But before we wrap everything up, Matt, where can people follow your work, learn more, or connect with you?
So the best way is by far the website. So Weik Fitness, WEIK fitness.com, thewritingrebels.com, and then my own personal website, mattweik.com. From there, all the socials are on there. If somebody wanted to touch base on social, or they can connect with me on there and email me. But the website are always the best.
Okay, awesome. And everybody watching, I will put those links below in the description, so you go ahead and check that out. And if a listener takes just one action from our conversation today, what should it be?
It's just that action.
Okay.
You don't have to wait till your back is against the wall to actually do something. Just go do it. You drive the ship. You have your hand on the steering wheel of your life. The direction that you want to go is up to you. Yes, there are guardrails on both sides, just like any road, but you have to keep driving if you want to get to your destination. And yeah, you might have to have a few pit stops on the way to hit the restroom or to gas up, but never stop.
Yeah.
Believe in what you're doing and keep pushing forward.
All right. You heard it, everyone. The man himself, Matt Weik. Once again, thanks for getting on. It's been awesome. I'm sure whoever watches this will get some great takeaways, as I will too, and I have. For everyone else, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of VorelloVision.